The walkaway march yesterday. A great event, an incredible event. Had a great time. Enjoyed meeting every single one of you folks and hanging out with y'all. There was about an average. I'm going to say people kept asking me how many people showed up.
We got an exact number.
We got an exact number. However, the guy said 3,500, and that was after the show was over. However, I'm going to beg to differ with him because I honestly believe the crowd coming up the street, the initial march, people were joining it that were just bystanders.
Yeah, that was pretty huge.
We interviewed a woman from the Ukraine.
Oh, Romania.
I was close.
See, I couldn't remember who you were talking about because we talked to a lot of people, but yeah, Romania.
Okay.
You were pretty close.
So she talked about growing up under communism in the 80s and juxtapose America and how much she loves being here in America. We talked about that. And so it was a great time. I'm venturing to say it was close to 5,000 total, but for crowd size, it got really cold. It was really rainy. Things kind of,
it started off really ugly weather.
Yeah. Yep. But there were still a lot of people there, so we had a great time. Brandon knocked it out of the park. Pastor Mark Burns. Mark Burns was there. Started it off with an incredible, he got everybody fired up.
He had to go first, I think, because he had to literally run to the airport and jump on and go straight to Las Vegas. But he could have easily been like the headliner.
Oh, yeah.
He was like a rock star up there. It was awesome.
Yeah, and so a lot of people spoke. We scoped it. So if you're watching this scope, go over to @Brian P. Smyth, and I pinned it to the top of the Twitter file. I'll also upload it up on the YouTubes and the Facebooks later on, so you guys can check that out there as well. I start off the show. This is going to be an incredible show. It's exciting. There's a lot of fun. There's a lot of great news coming out. I'm going to talk about the red wave. We're going to talk about the tsunami that's coming. We're going to give you examples and real fact, not fiction, real fact that will back up everything that we're saying about the red tsunami. But first off, this is troubling, and this is very difficult. I know the ridiculous pipe bomber thing that with inoperable pipes and stuff that went down the past week.
And by pipe, you mean plastic tubes. Plastic.
PVC and white powder that turned out to be nothing more than flour. It was...
Well, the DOJ said that there was material that would be considered like dangerous, but they were suspiciously vague about their description of how dangerous it was and what it was about the material that made it dangerous. Suspiciously vague.
Right, and I know Sean Hannity and Rush all week long beat this thing up, up and down the road, so I'm not going to beat it up too much. You guys, I've scoped about it. Kerry scoped about it. We've talked about it. It's pretty much over, though.
Thankfully.
That thing's done, and we've actually had to turn to something even more real and more drastic. More real, more drastic. And I talked to my wife about it, and she only knows about it because she heard the scope yesterday at the walkaway. But 11 Jewish parishioners are I don't know,
in the synagogue.
In the
I don't
synagogue.
know what they call them. In the Catholic Church, it's called parishioners.
Yeah.
But whatever. So
11 folks at the Jewish synagogue, Tree of Life in Pennsylvania. This is not conjecture. This is real. The guy that shot him up and killed 11 claimed to be he's a Nazi. He calls himself a Nazi. White supremacist Nazi.
So there's no question as to his motive.
Well, he hates Donald Trump with a passion.
Well, what I'm saying is that he hates Jews.
He absolutely hates Jews with a passion, too.
And that was why he did it. And of course, because of the pipe bomb thing, the Democrats were excited. They were so fired up. They were just giddy.
CNN,
and then,
MSNBC.
Then there's a shooting, and they get even more giddy. They're like, "Oh my gosh, we're having a total MAGA meltdown." And they're trying to blame everything on Trump supporters, anybody that listens to Trump, and because they've been trying to paint this false picture, which everybody knows is false, of violence within the MAGA movement, which is actually completely ridiculous. The violence is the reaction to the success of MAGA, and which is from the left. And so you have this crazy pipe bomb thing that happened at the beginning of the week, and we're all kind of like, oh gosh, what's going on? Actually, the pipe bomb thing went on for a while, but we didn't know who it was. We all were just concluding the obvious, which was that it was an October surprise by Democrat operatives.
Right.
And when they presented the suspect for the pipe bombs, I'll tell you, Brian and I were both like, I'm just confused. Brian said he's confused. I said I'm confused. I don't know what's going on here. And then you have this mass shooting that happened yesterday at a synagogue, and the Dems just couldn't contain themselves. They were just partying. They were in the streets partying flat out. They were so excited about this thing happening.
Right. What was the hashtag that was trending that you saw?
Well, the first MAGA bomber was in response to. Actually,
the non-exploding look.
They weren't bombs. They were replicas. They were toys. They were
like Clock Boy.
Yeah, like Clock Boy. So interesting. So they started with the MAGA bomber before they even knew who the culprit was, because they were using what you would think would be the motive, which is, well, let's see, he's sending pipe bombs or replica bombs or things that appear to possibly be bombs to all of the who's who of people that are anti-Trump, Democrats.
MSM referred to the Democrats that received them as the Democrats that are in Donald Trump's target zone.
A target list.
Yeah, target list.
They called it like a who's who of an enemy's list. Right. And they use the word, guys, when it comes to propaganda, you got to understand something about propaganda. Every single word is very carefully selected and thought about. And there's a focus group, and they figure out the exact phrasing. Words are very carefully chosen. And when you hear enemies list, that's critical. They chose that specifically because that's the phrase that was used in the Nixon administration. And it's all about guiding public support towards impeachment of Donald Trump. And so they use this mind trick where they're like, when people hear certain phrases from the Nixon era, they're going to conjure up subconscious thoughts of impeachment or the need to impeach our current president, because they're going to be reminded of impeachment by using common exact word phrases from the Nixon era. And so when you hear enemies list, they're just not throwing out a couple of words at a random just to describe or like this is a creative use of words to describe a situation. These are the exact words that were used in the Nixon debacle that ended up with him resigning because they told him that they wouldn't be able to stop impeachment proceedings. And so he ended up resigning. And the words used were enemies list because Nixon did have a list of people that he wanted to, ruin their careers, basically.
Or at least ban from the White House.
Right. And it ended up being one of many things that Democrats and historians and whatever look back to and say, yep, that right there was a mistake. That was definitely one of the puzzle pieces that led to him resigning with the threat of impeachment. And so enemies list is key. So that I just want to get that out there that you got to understand propaganda. You got to know your propaganda so that when you listen to Smyth Radio and you hear us say this stuff, you'll be well informed. And you have to know, I'll tell you when propaganda doesn't work. When you know you're being propagandized, right. That's when propaganda fails. And so when you hear enemies list, you may not know, but I know exactly. So we're just informing you on that. So the MAGA bomber hashtag was trending before we even knew who the suspect was. And it was painfully obvious to everybody that the whole thing was like a hoax to frame the whole Republican Party, the whole MAGA movement, whatever, the Trump movement. And so it seemed obvious. In fact, me and many others have flat out said, we think that it's a hoax. We think it's an October surprise. We think that it's a Democrat operative. We think that they're just trying to frame, use red herrings, all this stuff. It was so obvious when you look at all the evidence seems to point to somebody trying to mess with Trump support.
And what they've done with all of this, they actually created, there's monsters out there now in retaliation, Democrat monsters that like the shooter there that went after Steve Scalise and I'm going to kill all Republicans. The shooter in Pennsylvania at the Tree of Life Synagogue. I mean, these angry, really angry, awful, deranged individuals referring to themselves as Nazis, referring to themselves. And we know that the KKK and the Nazis, that all that stuff is all on the Democrat side, all on the left side. And then all of a sudden last night you get MAGA shooter. They were attempting to, and they couldn't possibly do it.
And they were so excited, weren't they?
Oh my God!
They were so giddy with excitement, like, "Oh my gosh, MAGA meltdown" is what they were thinking.
Right, and when we were on Twitter last night, it was all these blue checkmark people, all the blue checkmarks. They were all attempting in some kind of Houdini fashion or David Copperfield twist of fate. I don't know how they were trying. They were attempting to connect the MAGA bomber, the MAGA shooter, wrap them up and stick this to Donald Trump. When in all reality, Donald Trump has been the biggest supporter of the Jewish community. Donald Trump is...
His daughter is Jewish.
Donald Trump and his son-in-law. I'm just saying, Donald Trump has been the biggest supporter, proponent for the Jewish community, for Judeo-Christian... across the board, Christians across the board. I'm just saying. So for them to try and link all this together, that it's just maddening what the Democrat Party has become. It is absolutely maddening what the deep state individuals are, the levels that they're willing to go to stop a duly elected president that has threatened all of their power and all of their money. So you got to understand, folks, this thing is in the last throes. I mean, you were talking about gnashing of teeth. This is in the last throes. You know how they say it's always coldest before the dawn. There's really some truth to that. But I'm just saying, just before it gets better, it's going to get a little bit worse. And this is how bad it's gotten. I mean, let's go back all the way back to 2016. In 2017, and if you're watching the video, you can see that I put up 6 pictures. It's a collage of 6 pictures that Donald Trump actually retweeted out. The top picture is old girl holding up the bloody head of Donald Trump. Madonna saying, giving a speech with the posse hat on, saying, "I think a lot about blowing up the White House." You got Antifa beating police officers. You got Snoop Dogg with a gun and with a flag at the end of the gun that says "bang" in front of a Donald Trump caricature. And then the play in the park, or the play that they did out there in New York, where it was a Julius Caesar type play and Donald Trump was the one that was killed.
It was pretty much exactly Julius Caesar with the characters changed to make it look more like modern times. And instead of Julius Caesar, it was the President of the United States.
You know this. You guys listen to the show. You guys are intelligent. You follow the news. You listen to all this. You know this. You know this. You know this. And we're just expressing that we've got to keep talking about this over and over again. Now, I've got something that might be obscure. I don't know. You tell me, Carrie. Carrie doesn't know about this yet. You tell me. Usually I do show prep throughout the week, and then I put it all together at the end, and I spend about 4 or 5 hours on Sunday and just kind of piece it together. And I ran across this from the 26th of October, which was 2 days ago.
Okay.
The shooting at the synagogue happened yesterday, the 27th. So 2 days ago, on Friday,
you have it?
yeah, it was. I'm looking for the guy's name. Anyways, he's an anti. This is embarrassing, folks.
Well, it happened. It happened yesterday, right?
Yeah.
And we were at the the walk-away march. So
right. So Jacob Ingalls at Jacob Ingalls on Twitter. He is a gay Jewish man.
Oh, okay.
And Andrew Gillum was had him dragged out of a campaign stop at a Jewish temple. Andrew Gillum was speaking at a Jewish temple, and this gay Jewish man was trying to highlight his anti-Semitism and some support of mob violence. This was reported by GatewayPundit.com, Joe Hoft. And he writes, Democrat gubernatorial candidate Andrew Gillum held a campaign event on Friday at the temple in Plantation, Florida. Gillum has a long history of aligning himself with anti-Semitic groups that are anti-Israel, but as the event was getting started, Andrew Gillum had a gay Jewish journalist dragged from the meeting. I know this happened in Florida, and the synagogue shooting happened in Pennsylvania. I don't know. Maybe maybe neither one of these are related, but I just can't help that I ran across this in show prep. And check this out. Let's make sure the sound isn't too loud.
You told me I could stay here until I didn't violate any rules. You changed your mind, so you lied to me.
It will be a little loud.
So you lied to me. Have to go? He told me I didn't have to go off the property.
He's saying it now.
So when will Andrew Gillum denounce radical mob violence and assault? His mob assaulted me on Friday, and they were removing me from this event. No. Violence is violence. When is the violence going to end? When is the violence going to end? Back up.
You're being trespassed.
Back up.
Sir,
Let me move. You just want me to climb over it? I'm being trespassed? Fine. Give me the trespass order. When is Andrew Gillum going to denounce radical mob violence and anti-Semitic behavior? He is a Jew hater. He is a Jew hater. You guys are listening to a Jew hater who wants radical mob violence.
Okay.
Interesting.
Now he's friends with Laura Loomer, and I believe she was there with him. And Laura Loomer, she'll get up in candidates' faces. She got up in Keith Ellison's car. And I'm not a proponent for this type of journalism. I'm not. But he's trying to get the word out. Andrew Gillum, anti-Semitic, in the Jewish community, trying to garner votes, and he's just trying to get this out. Now, we know historically, and we don't know why, but historically, the Jewish community votes Democrat, which blows my mind.
I think it's a slight majority of Jews, and it's kind of, oh, we got a phone call. We might have to put this subject on hold because we have the organizer of the American Priority Conference coming on here, and he is going to give us an update on what is going on. And so we have...
Here, let's get that just real quick. Let me get the thought out real quick. We'll have him come on in just 1 second.
Okay.
But I just want to just throw that out there. Those are two different incidents that happened at a Jewish synagogue. One was 11 people murdered by a Nazi hating Trump. I don't know who his supporter was, who he supports, but he absolutely hates Trump all over social media.
Right.
And then you have a gay Jewish man trying to wake up the Jewish community while Andrew Gillum was campaigning there. So one day apart from each other, I have no idea. It's just pure speculation. I think it's extremely coincidental that one happened on Friday and then the violence and the murder happened on Saturday. Just a thought, folks.
Kind of a coincidence, but it's interesting to take into consideration all that stuff. And we're going to get back to that topic as soon as we are done with an update on the American Priority Conference, which is going to be happening from December 6th through 8th. And one of the major organizers of the event is Alex Phillips, and he is on with us right now. How's it going, Alex? Can you hear me?
Yeah, hey guys, I can hear you just fine.
Awesome. How's it going?
Well, it's been a busy several weeks. I've been doing a lot of traveling, trying to talk to folks. I was in Politicon this past weekend out in Los Angeles.
How was that? How was Politicon?
Well, it was my first time, so I had sort of expectations of something that really wasn't what I found, but I did meet a lot of very interesting people and had some good conversations. I met a lot of folks from California that are fighting the good fight about sanctuary states and how their cities are being forced into capitulation and some of these regulations that have nothing to do with the Constitution. And so I met a lot of those folks. I did see a lot of a few conservative organizations there that the Latinos for Trump were there. A lot of folks that were trying to represent conservatives, but overall, Politicon was primarily a left-wing organization that was supporting a lot of left-wing agendas.
Yeah, it seemed like they were trying to be a mix of just anything political, but liberals being the violent people that they are, they just couldn't seem to help themselves and ended up just not allowing any kind of speech, or at least not much. And there was a lot of selective banning of people. I saw one man, Will Johnson, who happens to be African American, which I like to point out because it just shows the Democrat Party doesn't care. They don't care about anything. They act like they are the champions of Black Americans, but it turns out they like to kick them out. And funny thing is the guy got kicked out for a stated reason that was exactly the same thing that Laura Loomer did, and Laura Loomer was told that while she could get kicked out, they're going to save her. They're going to salvage her and kick the black man out for the exact same thing. But anyway, that's why I wanted to ask you about it.
Had a good weekend there. She got a lot of folks on video, confronting them with information that they need to, kind of be confronted with. So good. I was very proud of Laura and hats off to her for all of her efforts.
Great, awesome. So we're going to have a conference, and I'm going to help out. Brian's helping out, and Alex is really spearheading the major part of making this thing happen. And this conference is going to be in Washington, D.C., December 6th, 7th, and 8th. So what exactly is this thing?
So a lot of this sort of came from when the folks were getting together in D.C. and other places called MAGA meetups, where we were, like-minded people were getting together mostly for social occasions to talk about politics and coordinate what's going on in their areas and understand, some more information about, I come from a rural area and a lot of folks in DC are, more urban areas, but we had people that would come and speak, candidates that would come and speak before the groups. And I kind of saw the need for, a get together that was a little bit more formalized, something more organized, something where we spend more time hearing from folks that have very important things to say to us, but not so much just hearing what they have to say, but learning things as well that are important. A lot of folks that have been doing the citizen journalism started off by, just broadcasting on their Facebook account or their Periscope account or even their YouTube account, many of which have learned this thing called censorship of conservatives, the hard way. But many of them would like to try to take their programs and what they're doing up to the next level. And so we're going to try to focus a little bit about citizen journalism at this conference. We're also going to talk about grassroots organizing. It's been said many, many times to me that the right the conservative movement, the Republicans, the GOP aren't very good at organizing. And, firsthand knowledge, I would say they're probably not too off base about that.
Right.
The Democrats seem to be very focused on.
Well, I mean, because they're non-player characters, so whatever they're programmed to do, that's what they'll do. And here's the thing. I mean, I've been observing. I'm like a people observer, as a pro-am poker player. That's like actually pretty important. And I noticed that conservatives are very individualistic. They are the players. They have free will, which you see lacking in the Democrat Party. And because of that, what you're saying is absolutely right. The ability for conservatives to organize is like corralling cats, right?
Oh, without a doubt.
Yeah, and whereas the Democrats are like moo, they get corralled up.
And it's funny. We joke about that, okay? And I had an opportunity to spend an evening with a bunch of young Democrats at a rally, and that was the night that Laura Loomer Tim Kaine. And so while she was, while we were waiting for Tim Kaine to come out, and I was, off in my far off corner of the bar, I spent time talking to several different young Democrats, and they were all of varying degrees of understanding of what's going on in politics today. So there was this couple that showed up, and they obviously lived in the Fairfax, Northern Virginia area, didn't know anything, didn't really know who they were coming to see to start with. They didn't know who was running against that person.
Oh, gosh.
And they just didn't know anything. So, and then another young lady, very nice young lady, sat down, and her questions were: are you knocking on doors? Are you going to this? Are you going to that? When she was talking, she was obviously the activist in the conversation, and the couple didn't know anything, so she began to go through the narrative, and I could close my eyes and just repeat everything she says without even remembering what she says, because all she said was what you hear every day.
Yeah.
She said that Corey Stewart was a racist. He was a misogynist. He was, all these bad things. He kept listing the narrative. And I kept my quiet because I had a mission that night, and I was not there to disrupt those people.
You don't want to blow your cover. You can't blow your cover.
No, I kept my cover, but I did have some good conversations. The thing is that, after she went off and read her narrative off, the political narrative of the Democrat Party, this couple were like, oh, well, I'm so glad that Tim Kaine is running against this, fascist, bigoted, racist, misogynist, bad person, right?
Oh,
and I just, it's like, still keep it together.
Oh, gosh.
You're not here for them.
You have extreme discipline.
So I decided I was going to engage in conversation. So I started off the conversation. I said, statistically, the Democrats will probably, win a lot of seats this year because, historically, when a Republican's in the White House, the Democrats take the House and the Senate.
Yeah. So they won't need her vote. Just tell her stay home.
I said it would take a tremendous effort, a earth-shattering event, something that would really shake you to the core for that to change this year. And it's funny, but the couple who know nothing about politics immediately erupted with, but that's how I feel, like everything is going wrong now. She says, I feel like the earth is crumbling around me. And I thought to myself, yes, your party is doing everything you possibly can to sabotage your own candidates. Congratulations.
Wow.
Oh, that's funny.
But I didn't say that. I just thought it in my head.
No, he can't blow his cover. No, I'm proud of you for maintaining discipline there.
I couldn't do it. I couldn't do it.
The discussion of violence, though, in politics, because that was the focus point, obviously, of Laura Loomer's confrontation. And, every single one of them in there did not support what was going on in Antifa. So many of them were saying that, I don't believe in, they agreed that, that the president is fascist. They agreed that all these things that the Democratic Party is pontificating on their narrative, but they don't believe in the violence. They think that, we should resolve our issues through peaceful means and vote at the ballot box. But they're just so lost because their party is leading them the wrong way. So what I surmised is that, these people that I talked with, they're not bad people. They are just misled.
Right. I mean, everybody knows a Democrat, and I have to admit, there's been friends lost, like on Facebook and sometimes in real life. And like Brian's wife had a close friend for like 3 years. And as soon as Trump ran for office and people started talking about it and found out that Nettie supported Trump, a big fight broke out. And these were close friends for 3 years. And it was just obliterated by the Trump candidacy.
Yeah, she refused to pick up her phone calls, never talk to her again.
So that seems like an anomaly. But I know a lot of Democrats or people that I know do not support Trump or actually hate him, that when I run into him in real life, face to face, I can have a coherent conversation. It's not going to erupt in violence. We're not even going to argue. We'll just talk about regular everyday stuff. And I think that's something that people need to remember. But I didn't want to get too far off the topic, but getting back to the American Priority Conference, will there be Democrats there?
Oh, well, some of our speakers are, past Democrats that have decided to come across, the aisle, so to speak. We, the last time I was in DC was just, last Tuesday, and I had, a good conversation with, Brandon Straka. And, I heard, a lot about what was going on in his efforts and his movement, and, very supportive of what he's doing. He's, everything he's said so far has been dead on as far as what's going on. In fact, I used one of his last interviews on I-24, channel I-24, which is when he was talking about what's going on and why he became, the head of this movement and why he decided to leave the Democratic Party. And it was right after the night that I spent with the Young Democrats at the rally. And, everything he said in that interview was almost, verbatim as to what the problem is with these people, is that they're not listening. They're not learning. They're not, learning on their own. They're trusting, the media to tell them what's going on. So, he's going to be there. So that's a Democrat.
Good.
Carrie Donovan, who is, going to be doing some breakout sessions on grassroots organizing. She's a past Democrat that's, kind of seen the light and come over. And, I don't really say these people have become Republicans, because, there's probably a lot of issues that, this is more than just, one type of issue, but these people are tired of what's going on with their party today. And so they're not going to follow them.
Right.
And the only way they're going to go back to their party is when their party discovers that they need to have, a real message. They need to do something that's really, for their people, not just for power.
Something that Brandon said, that he was talking about, that in his speech yesterday at the walkaway march, that GOP were putting you on notice as well.
And clearly didn't trust him.
No. And the crowd cheered and roared. And we've been saying this for years. Kerry and I have been saying this for years. But what is true is that these ex-Democrats, or these walk-away Democrats, no more to be the Democrat Party, are part of the Trumpocrats, if you will.
Right.
The Trump Party. And
the Truth Party, basically.
The Truth Party. And Trump, somebody wrote an article last week saying that Trump has hijacked the GOP, and he hijacked the voters in order to win. And I'm like, I hope that's true.
That's what you're supposed to do.
I hope he hijacks the party.
And you're supposed to hijack the voters to get them to vote for you. That's the whole point of politics, right?
Right.
That's ridiculous.
Well, he won on messaging, and now he's winning on executing his messaging, and that's really the important part. I think that, when I meet people at MAGA meetups, not everybody there is a Republican. There's some libertarians there. And I know libertarians have, issues with the GOP, but, also there's Democrats there. And so, I think what we're finding out is that, that Americans are really starting to realize that we're not about what our party is, but we're about, what being an American is. And what we've seen, it's been a big eye opener for the past, year and a half, about what's going on in government. The people that are supposed to be, are watching our back, so to speak, in the Justice Department have been not. They've been weaponized, and I can understand that. People say, this candidate or that candidate or this guy that's currently in office, he's a good guy, and I always say, well, look, give them time. Let them spend enough time in the swamp, and they'll get corrupt. And I think that that came to me to be very real when I heard somebody from the Republican Party, Andy Biggs, who was talking about the Convention of States, which is an effort right now to put in some term limits. And I've heard term limits discussed by both sides on radio shows. It's not a partisan issue. A lot of people feel that that these congresswomen and men and senators are spending too much time and they're getting a little on them essentially when they're in there for 10, 15, 20, 30, 40 years. Maybe it's time to put some term limits in. But the thing that sent it home for me is when Andy Biggs says that he doesn't believe in this movement to limit terms because he doesn't want them to take his power away. And I understand power is a very powerful aphrodisiac. It's a very powerful drug. It's once you get it, losing it can almost be devastating to you. So I think that a lot of good civil discipline is going to be required in the upcoming years. And we have two-term president situation now, and I think maybe we need to start looking at some of that. But those are issues we're going to talk about at the American Priority Conference. So we're going to get people from various walks of life to talk about various issues. So it's not going to be the usual political people coming and talking about what's going on, what bill they're working on or what mission they're on. We're going to have some of the regulars, some of the political people there. Obviously, Steve Moore definitely is in that Heritage Foundation establishment group. But R.C. Maxwell is black conservative. He's going to be talking about political violence because number one, he's a victim, but he's not only going to talk about it from his perspective. He's actually bringing folks from the Heather Heyer Foundation, and so we all know what happened to Heather in Charlottesville, not too far from where I live. And so we're going to have a discussion about this problem of political violence because people, I can understand, get very frustrated when, they see things happening and they feel like it should go this way, but it's going that way. And nothing seems to be changing. And so, when that happens, you either give up or you fight harder.
Right. Now, one of the things that people are going to be worried about, this is the very first one, and is this going to be an annual event?
Oh, this is going to be an annual event. If not, it's going to be more than annual. So, I have a new person working with me. Her name is Katja Lee.
We know Katja Lee.
She's been great. Yes, you guys introduced Katja to me and me to Katja, and she has been really great to work with. I've been working with a lot of folks. Dr. Jane Ruby is in D.C. area. She's been great to work with. A lot of folks have been very helpful. You guys have been a tremendous help, but we're bringing people together, and we're going to try to make this a regular event at the very least, but it may be a biannual or even triannual type event. Cool. So this year we're going to have it in D.C. The next location we're looking at is Las Vegas.
Oh, wow.
Nice.
I love it.
Bringing it back to D.C., perhaps maybe in March or April. But then we're also looking at the concept of moving around the country. So, when I talk about 3 events, the third event would be more of a, try to get out to where people are not able to travel, go regional, where people
almost
can drive
like
in.
having the American Priority Cincinnati chapter, or maybe a Midwest chapter or something like that. Would you do like different chapters?
Yeah, we're gonna go where we're needed essentially when it comes to the roaming around, because there's some states that may need more help, with anything, and whatever it is, we'll bring it, because we're bringing people from all walks of life here. I mean, obviously we're bringing some folks from Fox. Pete Hegseth is going to be there, but we're bringing people from the new media. We're bringing people like Matt Couch and Laura Loomer and Deanna Lorraine, Jack Posobiec, folks that Gretchen Smyth. I don't know if you guys saw that, but Gretchen and I did an interview this last week, and for somebody that's so conservatively censored on Twitter, she is probably the most loved person I know on Twitter, because the retweets and the sharing and the comments were amazing. This woman has dedicated her life. She's not making money. She's not doing this for money, to help veterans that need her help desperately.
She and I have had conversations before, and she's absolutely incredible. Yeah, no, I agree 100%.
And she's going to be moderating a panel of veterans, and these veterans are going to be talking about national security from their perspective. So the perspective of the veteran, who's essentially the guy or gal who's actually our national security in many cases, out there on the front line. So these people have now done their duty. They're now working in the civilian world, and they're going to come and talk about, from their perspective, what the national security of our country really means. And so that means they're going to talk about whatever they want that they think is important when it comes to U.S. national security. Gretchen's going to moderate that panel. And I don't know, I've seen Gretchen talk on Periscope a million times, and she's a natural when it comes to public speaking, but she's a little nervous about actually seeing the eyeballs.
I do that.
Well, that's good, because that'll make her, and the reason why she's nervous is because she cares, and it'll make her even better.
But she's asked all of her followers to come to the conference to give her support and encouragement.
Great.
And I think it's a great idea. You know, she's got over 100,000 followers. People watch her. Every one of her shows that she does gets anywhere from 30 to 50,000 views. Yeah. She is a celebrity by any definition, but she is so humble, and she is so such a sweet lady, and she's so dedicated to this effort that, you know, I encourage anybody who knows her, watches her, follows her, you know, come out, support Gretchen, come meet Gretchen, because she'd love to meet you guys.
I need to meet her. That'd be awesome.
Yeah. But, you know, we're going to also have some folks that you've never heard of. And maybe it's because I want to run in weird circles, but there's a fellow named Joel Stolatin who's a farmer, Polyphase Farms down in Verona, Virginia. And I've known him for a long time, just from his speaking engagements that I've been to and seen him online. And but he's going to come talk about some common sense stuff. And I love to quote him when I was going to DC a lot to meet with regulators and to meet with folks up on the Hill. I would quote this guy, and this is the one quote that sticks with me all the time. And he talks about in practical terms and things that are, you know, very matter of fact. And he says, if people wouldn't mind paying a little bit more for steak, everybody could have a job, right? And I brought that up a lot of times because in the telecom world, it's all about who can sell it the cheapest. Mm-hmm. You know, it's always been this race to the bottom, and whoever gets to the bottom first actually loses, right? So, you know, it's that he talks about things in terms of, you know, sustainability. You know, he's not all focused on organic, but just natural. He's not so focused on, you know, these giant corporate farms that, you know, treat animals poorly, but let's treat the animals with respect and harvest the bounty naturally. And so he is this guy that I don't think gets enough credit in our society for some of his teachings and some of his speaking. So he's going to come and he's going to talk about common sense stuff when it comes to our economy and when it comes to agriculture.
Awesome.
This is going to be incredible, folks.
Yeah,
I'm really, really excited about this.
Yeah, it's interesting. Either you're going to have big names there that people, when they see the name on a banner, they'll be like, oh my gosh, I got to go see that guy. But you're also focused on just the overall quality of getting knowledge and information out to people. So you may pick people, like you say, that nobody's ever heard of, but you know will be a great addition to this. So I'm really excited. The fact that you've added Katja Lee, we know what she's done for the Trump movement. There are people out there that give her a giant chunk of credit for really just bringing Trump from, hey, here he comes down the elevator, he's got a couple percentage points of support, to all of a sudden being the front runner in the Republican primary. And she was traveling all over the place making that happen. And now she's going to be the one making sure that this conference is a success. And I am so excited about that.
Now, where can people go? I've got American Priority at Priority CONF. I got that up on the screen for those of you watching video. Where else can people go to get plugged in?
Well, the website is AmericanPriority.com. You can go there and look at the speakers and see some of the topics of discussion. We're still adding more speakers, and we're going to have the agenda laid out relatively soon. But overall, we're going to have on a Thursday, we're going to have a bit of a social event with some stuff that may be coming up soon. Friday is going to be all-day speakers.
Cool.
And book signings. So we've got some of our speakers have books that they are going to want folks to, you know, take a look at, and you can get it signed from the author itself. And then we're going to have a big blowout party. Katja wants to make it one that obviously you can remember. And of course, this is the plan, right? We are going to be celebrating a big victory coming up next week at the American Priority Conference in December. So it's going to be a Winter Wonderland type party. Some folks have suggested about having some contests regarding, ugly Christmas sweaters.
Oh, that was me. That was my idea.
Yet to be determined. So we're still working on a lot of those issues. And then on Saturday, it's going to be all breakouts. So everybody that's going to be doing a breakout session will have an opportunity to spend a lot more quality time. you'll either be learning something that you can go back home and use, like activism and organizing, or using memes, or using video production programs for your YouTube or Facebook or whatever you're broadcasting on. But you'll also have some time to spend with folks like Matt Couch and Laura Loomer, who have got, a lot of background on a lot of stories that they've been investigating for a long time. So you can spend some quality time asking some deeper dive questions. So I'm hoping that's going to be a real plus for everybody that wants to, have, sometimes they ask the questions on a Periscope, and Laura gets a million messages and she can't answer them all.
Right.
Here we are in the same room talking to people. Also, something that you got to remember too is, this is from experience I've had from my industry of being in the wireless ISP industry. When we'd have our trade shows twice a year, obviously we learned stuff, we got to hear some speakers, but moreover, and more importantly, we got to spend quality time with new people that we just met, friends that we've met in the past at various other events, and you spend time socializing with folks you meet from all over the country. And to me, that's been one of the most powerful things about these conferences, is getting together, the fellowship, exchanging ideas, working out, hey, I'm trying to do this with my movement in this state, and this guy says, well, hey, why don't you try talking to this person, or try doing it this way, or finding solutions is really
networking,
the most important thing, and sharing ideas. So I think you're going to see this is going to be a conference unlike any other. One thing you'll not see at this conference is us selling you any ideas. We're not selling the GOP. We're not selling any narratives. It's all about talking about stuff, learning about things, and coming to your own conclusions at the end. So I'm really looking forward to meeting a lot of people and hearing a lot of interesting topics. So, you brought up, are there any big Democrats there? Well, some people that I've been marketing to on Facebook have been very negative about this conference, saying it's a bunch of white guys, it's a bunch of Nazis, and so I challenge anybody who's on the other side of this coin right now, listening to this broadcast now, if you want to come to this conference and you want to be heard and you want to be civil with our people and the entire group, you're welcome. There's no reason why you can't come and talk about what you think. If we want to put, if we want to put a Democrat up on the stage with a conservative Republican, and they can have a debate and be civilized with each other, I'm fine with that. There's no reason for not having that. So just, if you're a Democrat and you want to come and have a conversation, you're more than welcome.
That's awesome, awesome, awesome. Again, everybody go to AmericanPriority.com, on Twitter at PriorityConf. And just retweet the show. I'll put this information in the show notes at the bottom too, as well, for those of you listening to audio or on YouTube. Thank you so much. We're going to have you back again, at least once or twice.
It's December.
It's December.
Yeah,
we'll have you back
yeah.
at least a couple more times.
Right. Yeah, we got to definitely push this.
If anybody's going to be in DC on voting day, November 6th.
Oh, you're going to do a watch party, right?
We're going to be at Trump Hotel, and we're being there until they close the place down.
All
night long. So please come on down, hang out with some of your friends. If you come from Northern Virginia, come from New York, come from wherever you want, but Trump Hotel is the place to be.
Tuesday election night. Awesome. Thank you so much, Alex, and we will see you very, very soon.
Okay.
Thanks a lot, guys.
Thank you.
Bye.
Awesome. I can't wait for that. That's going to be a lot of fun.
Wow. That is that is a blast. I'm really excited about this. Let me get that straight. We got everything straight. Okay.
Awesome. And you'll hear a lot more about that. He's going to be updating us because they're adding big names. I will tell you right now, there are big names that are coming that he couldn't tell us yet, and you will definitely, if you aren't right now saying, all right, let me get my calendar out, got to write this down, maybe make a phone call to the airline, get some tickets,
like
whatever.
We know who they're talking to.
Right.
We're not allowed to say either because it's not finalized, the details, the dotted lines. But
when you hear, let's just put it this way, just get your tickets now.
Yeah, get your tickets now. Now that you can hang out with us in D.C. for Thursday, Friday, Saturday, 3 straight days. There'll be a dinner. There'll be a after evening hour. It'll be
it's interesting too. It's 3 days, but if you can only make it to 2 or even one of those days, do it. Like the walk away thing, Brian and I could not come to the 2 full days. We just couldn't do it. And so we said, whatever, we'll come to 1 day. And that's what we did.
That's what we did. Turn around 36 hours back in Cincinnati to do the show.
That's right.
All right, folks. So we were talking about the violence, talking about things that are going on. When we were in D.C., I wore the MAGA hat, the ugliest. I'm sorry, man. This is that.
I'm not a hat guy, so
this is that trucker, that old, and you could see. I mean, I got the beard. And I got the.
You look like you came off a truck.
I got the hat. I look like I was out of the movie Over the Top with Sylvester Stallone.
Wow. Over the Top. I was thinking Convoy or
yeah.
Remember that movie?
Yeah. Oh boy.
Anyway.
So, anyways, the entire time, one act of NPC, young lady. I thought her hair was faded. It was like a really bad Kool-Aid blue, purple.
It was a Kool-Aid job where you bleach your hair first.
Yeah.
Then you dunk. You do like a swirly, but not in the toilet.
In the toilet. Yeah.
Maybe the toilet.
Flush the toilet.
Oh, that's why it was blue.
Yeah.
Somebody put one of those. They put the blue toilet water.
She did the sanitizer blue.
Yeah. That's what it was.
So we were on the subway. So she sat next to us for about 5 minutes, and when it was
2,000 flushes.
Yes.
You remember 2,000 flushes?
Because you never got 2,000 flushes out of that.
No, it was false advertisement.
Yeah.
We should have sued them.
That's why they're not around anymore.
Anyway.
So she got up to the door when it was her turn to get off. The door opened. Her body is out the door.
Hold on, you got to back up a little bit. She gets on and rides the train with us for a while.
Yeah, I said like 5 minutes.
Yeah, I'm just playing on Twitter and whatnot.
We're not paying attention at all.
Yeah, nobody's saying anything. It's quiet.
Yeah.
Then
she gets to the door opens, her body's out the door.
She's gone, right?
Her head's on a swivel. It comes back, and she says,
"You look like a fool."
She didn't even a fool.
She practically said it under her breath. You could just look at the fear on her face.
Nobody around us said anything. Nobody looked at it. Nobody was.
Well, I was like this. I was on my phone. And then when she said it, I heard somebody speaking, and I heard, "You look like a fool." And I glanced up because I was kind of curious who they were talking to. I didn't even think that she would be talking to either of us. And I just caught her eye. And as she did, she turned away out the door, and she was gone. She wanted to make sure that there was very little chance that we would do anything. And here's the funny part. You know what her reaction was? Here's my reaction. I literally was just
looked up at her and looked back down at the phone.
Yeah, like it was so weak,
right?
So low energy. It was just pathetic,
right? And here's the losing. This is what happens. Other people are not as lucky as I am. Some of them get confronted by big bullies, and here is a big chunky white dude coming at a tall black American wearing a MAGA hat.
Okay.
And dude's on the phone, and the white guy don't care if he's on the phone or not. So check this out real quick.
What's wrong with my hat? What's wrong with my hat? It's my kid.
He's yelling at him, said, "Why do you support Trump?" He's saying, "It's my hat. It's my hat."
He is straight up bullying this guy.
This dude was following this dude around Starbucks because he got on a Trump hat. Shit getting real.
Let me skip.
Shit.
And that was about it.
Yeah, I'll tell you what. Don't let me in a situation like that because it would get ugly. You know what? You would be so glad you were recording.
You would be very glad. I promise you.
You'd be so glad you're recording if I was there. Oh, man, would it have gotten dramatic.
I can't even begin to tell you how many days, nights, hours, and minutes that Carrie and I talk.
Oh.
Just real quick, Donald Trump made the comment about the synagogue and the shooting at the synagogue that it should be guarded folks with the qualified with arms should be guarded by police or whatnot. Democrats blasting Trump for saying that, angry. I think that it was the mayor.
Why
that
don't
was
you tell them
blasting
about
Trump
your church?
So, speaking about coming to Middle America and meeting up with Courier and Brian Smyth, if you guys want to spend a morning on Sunday with me, you can come to my church.
Yeah, I'm not sure what the security situation is at my church, and it's huge. I mean, if you don't come early, you're going to be standing in the back, and there's seating for like 1,500 in that thing.
Right,
yeah, so ours is huge, but so I'm assuming and by the way, there's a lot of cops that are parishioners.
Oh yeah, the cops that are parishioners, and there's also police officers because of his church and because it's so obnoxious in a very busy street, and he can't get out.
Yeah.
They usually have police officers standing in the street, allowing folks in and out, things like that.
Right.
But
but yours,
we've got undercover secret dudes with
they got the
Secret Service. They got the earbuds. Yeah, they got the earpiece, and they got the little walkie-talkie hand thing.
Red team go.
Yeah. And you guys know the normal like double glass doors that open up. If you ever look at the top of them, you can see the door closer, and it's kind of like when it's closed, it's like at a little bit of an angle, and when you open the door, it stretches open, and then it closes the door back again, right?
Okay.
Well, in our church, there's these plastic, flexible PVC tubes with a red arrow on it, and they're sitting at the top of the door.
Okay.
I'm like, nobody can figure out what's a red arrow, and they're pointing and said, what is that for? Well, the guy who helped our church get up to par, you take those down and you jam it on the door opener.
Okay.
And nobody can open the door. So if somebody's outside and you don't want them in,
you just jam that on.
You jam that on the door and you can't even open the door.
Now, so your doors aren't glass, apparently.
Well, you would break the glass to get in.
Right.
Yeah, you would. They are glass, so if you wanted that bad to get in, you could break the glass to get in.
Oh, okay.
But so if you ever notice just maybe about 12-inch piece of plastic, flexible PVC above a door opener, that's what that's for. You jam it on the door opener to keep the door from being open.
That's awesome. I would have never guessed that.
So, but you could come to church with me and have a lot of fun. It's a great time. Anyway, so we're talking about all that. What else are we talking? Let's get to
the papers.
Let's get to the papers. Let's talk about some good stuff real quick. Let's talk about the red wave rising. We've been talking about this for a while, but there's a lot of great stuff coming out.
Yeah, it's turning into a big debate as to whether or not there's going to be a blue wave, a red wave, or something in between that would be kind of like, well, we're going to save the House or save the Senate but lose the House. There's a lot of speculation. I almost feel like people are hedging their bets with that kind of stuff. And I told Brian that the confusion I think I would feel if we lose either the House or the Senate would be the same confusion that I felt when I found out who they were saying is the suspect for the mail bombs, because it didn't make any sense. And there's just so much evidence pointing towards the Republicans continuing with their successes in politics.
Right, absolutely. And the caravan, which I haven't forgot about, and I hope you haven't either, and if the Democrats keep being as dumb as they are,
they can't even get the caravan here on time.
Not only can they get it here on time, but the caravan is actually causing people to vote Trump.
Yeah, because there's a lot of the early voting.
Yes.
The absentee, and even in person. In Cincinnati, Hamilton County to be precise, you can go downtown and there's an office that's been open for probably months now, and you walk right in, you can vote any day of the week. And then if you're Democrat, every day of the week.
And often. Vote often,
every
early and often, every day of the week. Same Democrat. Yeah, no. So the numbers that are coming back in that we've been seeing, and this is real numbers. This isn't anecdotal. This isn't polling. This is real numbers where they're looking at For the Senate, it's easier because there's not that many senators. For congressional candidates, it's more.
They're all up for re-election.
Right. So this is the Senate. Numbers for early ballot request and return for Senate have been lopsided. Normally, like everybody keeps talking about, the party that wins the presidency loses in the House or the Senate right afterwards. That's just historically what happens, or even break even. What they're seeing right now is that they're seeing that the Republicans are more enthusiastic. The numbers of the return ballots and the request ballots for the Republicans are greater than what was requested and returned in 2016 for Donald Trump.
That's pretty amazing. That sounds like a red wave because.
Now, hold on. Now, they could be voting Democrat.
You're saying that overall.
But no, just for Republican. Technically, if you're Republican and you get asked for an early ballot,
you can vote for
but that don't.
You can vote for the Democrat.
But
that's trying to trick us.
Somebody threw that out there at me, and I'm like,
because it's technically true.
But what normally happens, and what did we see in 2016? We saw Democrats, we saw Hispanics, we saw just Americans across the board of all races, genders, and creeds walk to the Republican Party.
Yeah, they were walking away back then.
And think about this. 2 years ago, are you better off now than you were then?
4 years ago or 2 years ago?
2 years ago.
2 years ago.
2 years ago, you're better off now than you were then. Yeah, because we were banking on Donald Trump's promises. All of a sudden, we see promises made, promises kept. 2 years later, everybody's losing it. Citizens of America are losing it because we never thought we'd ever see in a lifetime an actual president that would do what we asked him to do. And he's doing it.
Right. I'll tell you what. We should talk about why. Why is it that when a new president gets elected, that 2 years later, that party loses the House and Senate if they had it to begin with?
Because they do what they always do, which is nothing.
Well, there's all these lofty expectations and excitement and, oh my gosh, he's going to do this and oh my gosh, he's going to do that. And even the detractors, I will tell you, when Obama got elected, I was concerned, I was upset, but as the first black president in American history, I was very hopeful and optimistic. I remember being pretty impressed with his 2004 Democrat National Convention speech, which was the thing that thrust him into the national spotlight. And I remember thinking, well, maybe this will finally solve race relations and blah, blah, blah. And so even a diehard conservative like myself at that time was optimistic and hopeful about the opposite party's new president, our new president.
Right.
And of course, within 2 years, less than 2 years, I'm like, oh my gosh, this guy is just like any other Democrat. And guess what?
Maybe even worse, full-blown commie.
And you know what the Democrats do? And this is not exclusive to Democrats, because if it were Republican, it'd be on the opposite foot. They remember thinking about what all is going to change now that we finally got the guy that we want. And it always happens that they're a little disappointed. They're like, gosh, we're 2 years into this and nothing's happening that we were hoping. And so it seems like almost every single case with a new party president, the first midterms, there's a big wave going the other direction. And in the case of Bill Clinton, the thing that caused the wave for the Republicans against him in 1994, which was the Newt Gingrich part, right, was that the Republicans thought he had gone too far. Like, whoa, he overstepped his bounds.
Well, and that's what we said with Obama. He went too far, and the Tea Party rose up, which is you and me, the Trump Party now.
Yeah.
The Tea Party, the Trump Party.
He's going too far. He's going too far.
2010, 2012. I mean, we just went at it, hammered away. Since Obama's election, the Democrats have lost thousands of seats, all the way down to, as Rush Limbaugh says, dog catcher.
So
across the board. And now the request return ballots for Democrats below 2016 for Hillary Clinton.
Okay, so then
expectations.
That brings us to the question.
And
why?
Here's the question. Who normally votes early?
Well, hold on. I don't want to lose my from the last story. Why is this going to be different? Why are we not going to have a repeat of this historical chiseled in stone phenomenon of the new party's president having a major losses in the very next midterms? Why is it going to change? Well, let's take a look at some of the things. Donald Trump he's not overreaching. He's doing exactly what he ran on. And the things that he can't get done yet, he's not pushing the issue. He's just saying, listen, we need the Congress. We need the Senate. And so the right is going to say, well, we're happy, but we're not blaming Trump for any shortcomings.
No, not only that, but the people that are running, the men and women that are running right now for the House and the Senate, that Donald Trump is campaigning like an absolute madman. Jake Tapper, fake Jake, is beside himself.
Yeah.
Cuomo's beside himself. They are making fun of Trump for running, crisscrossing the country, campaigning for all these great Americans that want to help Donald Trump continue to make America great again. We are seeing real candidates for the first time, not rhino Republicans, real candidates, and I could be more excited. How could you not get excited? We're excited about what's going on.
And then here's the last thing about that, why it's not going to happen. The Democrats. The Democrats need to come in because they're the ones that are supposed to have the wave. And they're supposed to have the reason why they're going to come out and vote against the sitting president's party. Well, here's the thing. Making America great again includes making the country of the Democrats great again. Their country is becoming greater. Their economy is becoming greater. They see the successes. They can't even deny it anymore. What the hell are they going to vote against? Why would they vote against? Either A, they're going to be discouraged because they're like, man, I can't believe my communism's going away. And they're going to be discouraged, and they're not even going to be motivated to come out and do anything, if they're even that way. But I think that's a minority. I think it's a very, very small minority. Most of them are going to be like, wow, I was told concentration camps were going to be starting to be built.
Oh, they are, Kerry. Yeah, they are one day.
One day. But they're not now. The concentration camps are not being built. They're not rounding up immigrants. They're not rounding up immigrants.
Or black Americans. Somebody said there was a video went viral that one black American said to another, they're going to round us up, send us back to Africa.
I heard that, and also
come on.
It was Biden said they're going to put you back in chains.
Yes, put you back in chains.
So that's not having black Americans are not being put back in chains or being shipped out of here, and immigrants are not being shipped out. Some people say, oh, they're separating the families of illegal immigrants, but they're doing exactly what the law says that also Obama did, so the whole thing is a sham.
Approval rating for Donald Trump in the black community, according to the NAACP, according to the NAACP, is in the high 27s, somewhere around there.
Shocking.
Some other numbers have it as high as 39%.
I mean, it makes sense. If you're going to be intellectually honest about the situation that you're looking at with your own eyes, I mean, the only way they can keep it that low is because you got mainstream media outlets that are just looking right into the camera and bald-faced lying.
Right.
And so I don't see how the Democrats are going to be able to come out and have the reason that your voter normally has. That's the opposite party of the current sitting president, a new president, right, to come out and give their blue wave. It's just not going to happen. And then on the red side, we're more excited than ever. So,
absolutely.
I mean, remember this: if it ends up being that we do either have a blue wave or they win the House for whatever reason, I can look back and say, guys, I was wrong. But I'm telling you, I'm reading the writing on the wall here.
Yeah, I can't say that I'm wrong because not only that, but if you throw into all of this mix something to keep you a little bit more calm and safe, go watch the Trump prophecies. That's what it's all winning. That's what this is all about. We are all supposed to win. This is another chance for us to continue to win, to get back America. And real quick, Larry Kudlow, I'm telling you, if you don't know the guy, you got to know this guy. Donald Trump gave him a call, called him up and said, hey, I need you as an economic advisor because you are literally the man of all men when it comes to economic advisors. Larry Kudlow on Fox and Friends talking about something that Donald Trump floated in one of his campaign speeches, talking about more tax cuts. And who are they for? Not only that, but he's also talking about the jobs that are happening. What's really driving this red wave, if you will. And that's clip 1, clip 2. And then at the end, oh man, Barack Obama really stepped in it this week. I try to claim credit for the economy once again. So check this out, Larry Kudlow. Here we go.
It's in the planning stage. You know, we've had tax cuts, very effective help for the middle class. Their tax liability is down about $2,000 for a family of 4. We also have wage increases. A family of 4, probably $4,000, maybe higher over a period of time in wage increases. So the president would like to go for more. He's a tax cutter. Right. That's a big difference from his predecessor, who was a tax hiker. And we're going to try to work out some of the details on his proposal for a 10% middle-class tax cut.
Okay, sir.
I think the general point of view is after the election. But I think the president wants to message this policy ahead of the election. It's a pro-growth policy. And, you know, across the board, this economy is really humming. As I've said many times, American workers, blue collars, white collars, entrepreneurs are just crushing it, absolutely crushing it. We're the hottest economy in the world. And
we're the hottest economy in the world, crushing it.
You know what? You want to compare this economy today with the economy of 2 or 3 years ago. Are you better off today? I believe you are overwhelmingly better off today.
When you hear all this talk about economic miracles right now, remember who started it. They run things into the ground and we have to come back and clean things up.
Larry, he's taking credit for our economy. Is he right or is he wrong?
Well, I don't think he's right, with all respect to former President Obama. Look at, under his stewardship, the so-called recovery was, 2% average per year, which is really the worst since the Depression. And already, we have beaten our critics, including Obama's staff people. We're running an economy that's 3 to 4% economic growth. And the whole change here, look, President Trump has cut tax rates on small businesses and corporations and individuals. And he wants to do some more. That's a huge change from President Obama. President Trump has, rolled back onerous regulations. And what you're seeing now is a tremendous increase in men and women who own and operate their own small businesses. The president has stopped the war against success, stopped the war against energy, stopped the war against fossil fuels. He is rewarding success. And last point is look at the confidence metric. Look at Obama had nothing like that. With all due respect, again, I don't want to get tied up in personal attack. I'm just saying, almost from the day of the election, consumer sentiment and small business confidence has soared. It had been falling, and it's a V recovery, and it continues. Well, that's the most amazing thing. It continues.
It's the greatest economy in the world. They're crushing it. Workers and businesses are crushing it. Folks, if you have a 401k, and this isn't a pitch for a commercial, but if you have a 401k, if you work for a company and they donate some to it and you donate some to it, you're average everyday American, just average everyday American. You don't have to be rich to have a 401k. You don't have to be poor. Just have a job. Most companies offer it. My millennial who's 30, I told you before, his 401k, he hadn't looked at it since they started doing it, but he went back and scrolled back. A year ago, his 401k was around $9,000. Now today, including the $2,000 bonus that he got for profit sharing, and the stocks that his 401k is in. Now, granted, he's 30, and his 401k is in an aggressive.
Which you can do.
Anybody can do it, but it's more aggressive because he's 30. But he went from $9,000 last year, and we're in October right now. We're not even finished with the year. He's at $16,500, including the $2,000 profit sharing.
That sounds
he received.
like a big increase from when he started.
That's all. No, that's from last year.
Oh my gosh.
It's from last year till
So
now.
he went from 9 to 16 in
in 1 year. Well,
Wow.
actually, technically in 9 months.
Impressive.
I'm just saying. Now, don't get me wrong, folks. People are going to talk about the hiccups of the stock market, the Dow Jones. The Dow Jones is just a group of stocks that go up and down. I'm not, poo-pooing it all, but I'm just saying.
Get yourself a mutual fund. Get yourself IRAs. You don't need a 401k if you're in a business that doesn't offer that kind of stuff. Start putting money away in IRAs and mutual funds. It's almost exactly the same thing, and you'll be diversified across a whole bunch of different industries. And so, especially if you're really diversified, when the stock market goes up and down, different ones will go up and down. And if you're moving it around, you can actually make a ton of money.
Yeah.
Like if the market takes a dump, there's certain stocks, certain mutual funds that would go down. But if you were to sell those at the top and then buy things like utilities and precious metals and all that kind of stuff, which tend to go up when the market goes down, this is exactly what my dad does.
So does anybody know, do you remember what the all-time high price of gold?
All-time high price? Was it
$1,900 an ounce.
Yeah.
Does anybody know when that ever happened? When did that happen?
That was when the market was at its horrible, like at its worst, wasn't it?
Yeah. Who was the residing
I
president?
think it was probably Obama, wasn't it?
It sure the hell was.
Right.
It was Obama, and now we got the cryptocurrency going through the roof. Cryptocurrency's plateaued, leveled off. It's dipped and plateaued. It hasn't seen much movement.
And I'll tell you why. People are looking at this economy and are like, I'm going to take it out of crypto for now, and I'm going to start dumping it in these new businesses.
And guess what has happened? What is the price of gold currently?
I don't even know, but I know it's not near that high, is it?
It fluctuates around $1,100 to $1,200 an ounce.
Okay.
And when it's low like that, people are buying jewelry. And this is just anecdotal, but this is the company I work in. I'm one of the largest manufacturers of jewelry and gold in America. Mm-hmm. Last year, me and my millennial made around 30,000, 33,000 rings.
Okay.
We've already beaten that, and we still have season to come, meaning November, Black Friday, Christmas, and that's the biggest days of the year. That makes all the money. We've already beaten that. We're almost close to 40,000.
Okay. I have a question for you. We're not old enough for this.
And silver?
Oh, yeah?
Silver product? Nobody's buying it. They're buying gold.
Because they have the money and it's low.
Yes.
Gold's down and people have more money, so there's going to be a lot of purchases. Riddle me this, Brian. We're just old enough to remember this, but I would love to hear from somebody who's like in their 70s and 80s who can maybe debunk this theory that just popped in my head right now. In our entire lifetimes, and for those millennials out there, this might blow your mind. From basically the early to mid 90s all the way until today, people weren't really wearing very much gold. Maybe a teeny tiny microscopic chain with a little thing on it.
Let's go back to Mr. T and the A-Team.
Okay.
Back in the 80s.
Hold on. Let's get more general here. When was the last time you saw people who wore big gold? And I'm talking people that weren't even that wealthy. When I was a kid, poor kids that were like 16, 17, they just got their first job ever, were wearing herringbones that was like quarter or like half-inch thick. And that's a lot of gold, right? When was that?
I was back in the 80s.
Which was?
Ronald Reagan.
The Ronald Reagan, and which would mean, and you just heard from Brian, this is happening because gold goes way down, people have more money, and they bought gold. And I just thought that was a phenomenon from the 80s, but it might have been a phenomenon from the Reagan economy.
Very well could be, because now I'm on the inside with this. I mean, I'm talking to the owner and
So you're saying
management.
Mr. T is going to make a comeback?
Well, I mean, Gold's going to
Run DMC. I mean, people at the big ropes.
Right.
I mean,
well, let me put it to you this way. My daughters, my daughter, my 11-year-old, my 11-year-old, my 10-year-old, my 9-year-old, and my wife, their costume jewelry, their play jewelry has always been like wire metal or plastic you know. So, it's all silver. All their play stuff. You go to their jewelry box, it's all silver.
all right.
They're like, what? Yeah, I make and buy silver. I'm telling you, folks, whenever they want us to practice on a new piece of jewelry to make something, you need material to make that with. And you're going to scrap probably the whole tube. 30 inches of material, you're probably going to scrap it all just trying to figure out how to make one. We used to use brass.
Okay.
Brass. We use silver.
Okay. Silver's just junk now.
Yes.
Well, it's a good time to buy.
So for that guy on that commercial that says silver's the new gold, dude, I know your game. He's playing a game when they start preaching buy silver.
Well, if it's low, that's when you buy it. If it's going to go up, what do you think? It's going to go even lower?
Oh, yeah.
You don't want to buy it when it's high. Buy it when it's low. It's a good time
to
to
keep going down.
Call Brian and tell him to give him all your scrap.
It's good times, man. So, anywho,
that was your financial advice for the day.
Yes. What was the other one? Oh, here, real quick. I'm gonna play the short version. You guys, I'll play this. I'll play the beginning of the long version. The question. Remember Obama when the whole famous saying where he said, "What was Donald Trump got a magic wand?"
Yeah.
Do you remember the gentleman who asked the question that started that off?
I don't know.
It's a Black American in Indiana. And he is very upset about the industry that he's in because all the jobs leaving in Indiana. Here's his question real quick.
How you doing, Mr. President?
How are you?
My name is Eric Cottenham, and I'm representing the Steelworkers Union, Local 1999, and I'm trying to find out what do we have left as far as all of our jobs are leaving Indianapolis, right? And I see here you're doing a lot of things, but in Indianapolis, there's nothing there for us. I mean, what's next? I mean, what can we look forward to in the future as far as jobs, employment, whatever, because all of our jobs is left or in the process of leaving, sir.
Well, in fact,
Gosh.
Okay. I'm going to spare you.
In fact.
That's 4 minutes and 41 seconds. I'm going to spare you.
He would just drone on about nothing.
Well, I listened to it multiple times because I had to cut this piece out. And when I listened to it, he in one breath, he would say the jobs, the manufacturing jobs are coming back, but in different form.
Okay.
And then in the next sentence, he would say, we've got to re-educate, and we're donating money to the universities to create programs with the government and stuff, and jobs aren't coming back. So he was saying they are coming back, and they aren't coming back, and they are coming. It was unbelievable. The contortionist that he is when it comes to the language of English. So this is his famous saying. I want you guys to take this to heart. This is his famous saying.
because some of those jobs of the past are just not going to come back. And when somebody says, like the person you just mentioned, who I'm not going to advertise for.
You already did.
That he's going to bring all these jobs back. Well, how exactly are you going to do that? What are you going to do?
He has no idea. Barack Obama has no idea how to bring jobs back. And by the way, it's not because it's Barack Obama. This is the Democrat Party. They are everything that they know about the world. They have embraced in academia world, which is colleges that are only teaching them about Marxism.
They don't teach you how to make money in college. I know. I was there. It's the difference of the two different theories. Not two different theories. It's two different. It's the two different laws: the law of the land and law of the university. Law of the land is something that Kerry knows a lot about. Kerry, should I plant grass seed right now to grow?
if you have a grass seed that you don't care about.
Okay.
And it won't really grow anything.
What was the window of opportunity this year?
You had about 1 week, and it was in first or second week of September. So during that span, that 1 week span.
So I have to plan this out in advance.
Oh, yeah, because you have to kill the existing grass. And it takes about 7 to 10 days to kill the grass, because once you spray it, it stays green, and then it slowly, after about 10 days, it kills it. And the reason you kill it is because you're renovating the lawn because you don't like what you got.
Kerry, I'm thinking about having a barbecue this weekend, so I put some corn seeds out there.
Corn?
Think they'd be ready by next weekend?
No.
What?
You gotta do that in the early spring.
What?
Yeah. So yeah.
That's the law. That's the law of the land and law of the university. Cram the night before to pass your exam. As the counselor told me, D is for diploma.
Oh my goodness. Well, if you remember the movie Catch Me If You Can, which was a true story starring Leonardo DiCaprio, sorry about that.
It's a fish. That's how you pronounce it.
All right.
A fish.
So he played a guy who faked his way into being a pilot. He faked his way into being a doctor, and then at the very end, he quote unquote faked his way into being a lawyer. And it got to the point where he needed to present a certificate showing that he passed the bar, and he did that. And everything
got the papers.
And the main thing about the movie was that he was creating fake checks and going to banks and cashing them, and he made millions and millions and millions of dollars cashing fake checks everywhere, all over the world. That was the big thing about what he was doing. So millions and millions of dollars. So he's making all this fake stuff. So at the very end, when he's finally caught, the FBI guy who was played by Tom Hanks said, I just have one question for you. One thing. I got everything figured out. I know everything you did. I know how you did it, except for one thing. You got to tell me. Promise me. You got to tell me. How did you fake being a lawyer with the fake bar? How did you do that? And he was like, you really want to know the truth? I said, yes. Please tell me the truth. I studied my ass off. And he actually passed the bar. And so here's a guy who was, for all intents and purposes, faking that he was a lawyer. And he was actually legitimately passed the bar.
Right. So a juxtaposition.
Unbelievable.
We got Barack Hussein. Here he goes. Let's finish this one up.
Another
Ready?
fake one.
There you go.
I'm not going to advertise for, that he's going to bring all these jobs back. Well, how exactly are you going to do that? What are you going to do?
Tell me how you're going to do that.
There's no answer to it.
Oh,
he just says, "Well, I'm going to negotiate a better deal." Well, how exactly are you going to negotiate that? What magic wand do you have? And usually the answer is he doesn't have an answer.
He does have an answer. And here's the thing. It's not like he was just saying that and then he became president, and just like Jack Dorsey accidentally inventing Twitter, Donald Trump accidentally gets our jobs back, gets the economy back going, gets unemployment down and all this kind of stuff. He actually was telling us what he was going to do.
Ironically, the full version of that, when I listened to it again today, ironically, at the beginning of his fumbling around, he explained to the audience that he and his administration are negotiating better deals.
I mean, that's
pallets of cash.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing. There's a difference between negotiating better deals so that we end up with more money and sending over cargo planes filled with pallets of cash to enemy countries. I mean, if there was a playbook for how to destroy your country's economy, I think the first edition would have been written by George Soros, but the second edition, surely a collaborative of Obama-era administration officials.
Okay, true sexism? That's what you use to get Democrats elected.
Okay.
You use sexism.
Right, okay. I mean, I agree, but do you have an example?
Isn't that wrong?
Yes. Yes, it's wrong.
Oh, Beto.
Oh, gosh.
Beto. Apparently, this week, Beto has gone full board, all out, went all around California, campaigning and raising funds in California, then flew back to Texas to spend the money for his campaign. That's a fact, folks. That's no lie. And apparently, they are putting together these crazy ads.
Who's they?
Beto.
Like his campaign?
Yeah.
Okay, his campaign. Because didn't he earn or raise more money than any other congressman or candidate in history?
Claiming to not use super PACs. However, they re-qualified that and said, well, if people put their money together in this pot and we get it from this person who, I don't know where the money comes from technically.
Okay.
So it really is super PACs, but okay. And California, he flew to California to raise millions of dollars to go back to Texas to spend it and to make ads, commercials like this. Come on.
Oh, it must be great volunteering at his phone bank. Is he ahead of Ted Cruz yet? By the way, where'd you meet him?
I first saw him on Ellen DeGeneres. He's taking on the GOP. You get
So
the picture?
bad.
Yes, we see.
And Beto does it without a super PAC.
Oh, gosh.
Here he comes now. He's married with kids, but he's still my man.
Man.
He played guitar in a rock and roll band.
Like Bernie Sanders, but he's got a tan.
There's nobody my Beto compares to, like JFK with a $10 hairdo. Hey, Ted Cruz,
You better watch your back.
he drives a
Was that
pickup,
Beto's
that's just how he
Banditos?
rolls.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
I can't take it anymore. I thought it was shorter than that. I'm sorry.
Oh, that is so awful. Wow. It wasn't even that well done, but does anybody think that's going to be effective on Texans?
No.
Gosh.
I don't
even think he's obviously not trying to actually get elected in Texas. He's running a national campaign for something.
Oh, MSNBC said that he's running in Texas, and if he doesn't make it in Texas, then he'll be the Democrat candidate for president, right? And they're like, yeah.
That's what he's doing.
So what
It's
are
so
we
bad.
talking about?
It's so bad. I mean, the way you do it if you're a Democrat is follow the Obama rule or Obama mold, which is do nothing, don't show anybody anything. And then on a big national stage like your Democrat National Convention, you better blow it away with the greatest speech of your lifetime.
Right.
And then go and hide for 4 years.
Right.
I don't even think he voted on anything when he was in the Senate. It was like he was voting president every
Well, he
time.
didn't want to vote because he didn't want to have a record.
No record whatsoever, and that was absolutely critical for him. And he just kind of disappeared. And that's really what you need to do if you want to be president from the Democrat side.
So educating Democrats, folks. Candace Owens educating Democrats and media alike. You saw Beto using sexism to try and get elected. You sexy hot mamas of sorts. I mean, they attempted to be.
Right. They tried to do a Grease thing.
Right. Pretty sad. And what was his accomplishments?
Beto?
That they said in the video. He played a guitar.
Oh, right. He also skateboards, by the way.
Yeah, he was cooler than Bernie Sanders. He was cool like Bernie Sanders, but better hair.
And I mean, I skateboard too, but
that doesn't qualify you to. It disqualifies you to ride a skateboard.
As a skateboarder myself, I find that they trying to use that as a way to get people to want to vote for him. Silly.
Hot sauce, anyone? Hot sauce.
Oh, wow. That's what it is, isn't it?
Beto's using hot sauce.
Well, so to in case you forgot, because I almost did until I realized what he's talking about, Hillary Clinton tried to pander to the black vote by saying that she has hot sauce in her handbag because that's what Beyonce made a song about, apparently to give her credentials for blackness?
Right, and the
because all black people have hot sauce in their handbag or something.
The radio show, the black radio show guy said, a little bit of pandering, and she said, "Ha ha ha! Is it working?"
Oh gosh, yeah.
Even
the radio show was cringing. Oh,
so here's intelligence. See, you saw the Beto ad. Now I'm going to show you what should be an ad for walk away.
Okay,
walk away from the Beto.
There was another tweet that said the Democratic Party is comprised of racist white liberals.
That is correct.
Am I a racist white liberal?
Well, let's go back and let's say, I will say this, that many people in the party are not aware of their own racism. Let's go back to an early part of this conversation where you said to me, are you concerned about the color in the White House? Why would you ask me that question?
Because you speak about black issues.
No, but why would you ask me? But let's get to really the nucleus of this. Why did you ask me that question today?
Because I'm
why did you feel that I
interested in
needed to be
perspective.
concerned about that?
Because you're bringing a whole group of young African American leaders to the White House.
Okay, so this is something that I talk about often, is that in many ways white liberals don't realize that you put on that the racism and the conversations that we have.
So you're saying I'm a racist?
You haven't let me finish my statement. You keep cutting me off.
Go ahead.
Okay, the emphasis that you place is always on having a discussion about race. Okay, you guys are insistent on having a conversation about race and telling us that we should see and implying that we should see race everywhere, and I don't agree with that. If you don't look at me according to the color of my skin, you would simply ask me how I thought that Trump was doing as a president.
Right.
But instead, you try to drum up a conversation that's surrounded by race
by
asking me, are there enough black people in the White House?
You're bringing a whole group of young black leaders to the White House.
You see color,
so
I don't.
That's something that's important to you.
But why are you talking about?
Then why make it that you're going to bring young black leaders to the White House? I mean, this is sort of absurd.
Because the media, as in the whole,
this is absurd. You're bringing this group to the White House.
It's not absurd. I'm making perfect sense. You're just not following the logic.
I just want to be clear.
Yes, I'm trying to be extremely clear with you.
I know.
Bringing the black conservatives to the White House.
But you view me as a racist white liberal.
I think that you're not. First off, you put those words in my mouth, and you keep saying it. So
you tweeted it.
I said that the Democrat Party is comprised of racist white liberals. Is every person in the party racist? No, but you're not aware of the fact that you put these racist tones out into the media. This is why we have to bring the black conservatives to the president, because you create a narrative when you're on TV like you did today.
Wow.
We talk about a 1-2 Mike Tyson knockout punch.
Knocking her all over the place. And good for her. You know what this reminds me of? And I don't see it on your board here, so you didn't pull it up. But that's okay, because we can describe it. The old Morgan Freeman
video. Morgan Freeman.
Yeah, so that was a
short.
video.
It's a short clip. Yeah.
You might want to you can look it up. But so there is a Morgan Freeman clip, and I'm not sure. Are you going to be able to get it or no?
I probably will.
Okay.
If you want to talk about it. Yeah.
Okay, so I actually always thought this, but I didn't know how to put it into words. And Morgan Freeman said it a long time ago, a very long time ago, and when he said it, I thought I've always thought that, and he's just said it in a way that what you're looking for is probably really low quality. Are you sure? It's low quality because it was a long time ago. It was almost like the early 90s or something.
I actually think it was this one.
Okay.
Has Obama helped the process of eradicating racism, or has it in a strange way made it worse?
Made it worse.
Yeah, this was before. He said it before Obama was president. Okay. So, but I'll just describe
well,
it.
He's
then.
saying that Obama has made racism worse.
Yeah, which I agree with him, and so I'm glad he said that, because I didn't even I'm not even aware of that clip. But he said, how should we do? What should we do to solve poor race relations in America? And he said we need to just stop talking about it. And of course, that was very confusing to the interviewer. And he said, "What do you mean, stop talking about it?" And he said, "I'll stop calling you a white man and refer to you as," I think it was Charlie Rose.
I probably was.
I'll refer to you as Charlie, and you can stop referring to me as a black man and start calling me Morgan, and we can talk to each other like normal people and stop focusing so much on skin color. And he totally nailed it. But the reason I bring that up right now is because in response to what Candace Owens was saying, and Candace Owens, in a very convoluted way, it wasn't because she was arguing with this lib, right? But if she was just saying it the way she wanted to say it, would pretty much sound like what Morgan Freeman said.
Right.
Is why don't we just talk about how well Trump's doing and how well he's helping all Americans and stop focusing on the color of everybody's skin?
Yeah, because apparently the white liberal asked her, "Are you concerned about the color in the White House? The color of the White House, meaning are there enough black Americans in the White House?"
Gosh, that's so sad. That
dude, that's racist. Just go get out. That's racist.
Right, but you know what? I've heard questions similar to that every single month of every single year that we've ever been talking about politics. Anytime you talk about diversity, do you know what diversity is? Is what we need to pay very close attention. In fact, we're going to make it a top priority to look at the skin color of everybody that works here. That's what diversity is in business, is paying extreme close attention to everybody's skin color.
Yeah, diversity is actually ruining
race relations.
Race relations. We got to get rid of diversity. Get rid of. The speaker talked about. What's it called when if you're black or if you're Indian, you can get special treatment.
Affirmative action?
Yes.
Okay.
He was against affirmative action, and he was all upset, and he was mad about it because it actually kept him poor for a long time until he worked hard and worked hard and worked hard and worked out of that and got away from that. So that's what it's all about. If you're young, you're not going to get rich until you're 40. It don't happen like that. Rush Limbaugh talks about that all the time. I didn't realize that until I had to work hard.
When Rush Limbaugh said that, I didn't really think it was that serious of a statement. But talk about breaking it down to its simplest form. You can get educated. You could not get educated. You could work hard or not work hard. But they don't let you get paid until you're 40. And when you turn 40, it's amazing. I'm amazed at the way I'm treated now that I'm 42 years old.
I'm shocked. My boss is he's like 15 years older than me, and the owner of the company is probably about the same age. And both of them at this point in the game, they bring me in, and I say, "Man, what are we gonna do? What are we gonna do about this, Brian?"
Brian's the go-to guy. It's amazing the way I'm treated everywhere I go, especially in business. It's just amazing. In fact, I've had young people who are doing exactly the same thing that I'm doing, wondering how I'm getting ahead so fast, and I'm like, the squeaky wheel gets the grease. That's why I try to tell people, but you know what? It's not going to work for somebody that's in their early 20s. They could be squeaky all they want, and in fact, if they upset somebody by being too annoying, it's going to make it even worse. If I do the squeaky wheel and get the grease, it's partly because I spoke up, but the other part of it is they know I'm over 40, and that's when they let you get paid.
Right.
I don't understand it.
Sorry. It's life. It's what it
yeah,
is.
It's
and
really
if
weird.
You're a woman and you work hard, real hard, you study, you work hard, you're very sensible, do not get pregnant out of wedlock. That's flat out.
That's like one of the big ones.
Do not get pregnant out of wedlock. That is the worst thing ever. And do not believe a boy who tells you, well, if you love me, you would. No. Don't fall into that. Who said put a ring on it? What was the girl that said put a ring on it? Beyonce, put a ring. Do not get a ring.
If you like it, then she was objectifying herself. She didn't say if you like me, then put a ring on my finger.
Oh, she was saying if you like the.
She said if you like it.
Oh.
If you like it. If you like this slab of meat, you want to put a ring on not on me.
Put it on the meat.
No, not on me. On it. Ooh. She referred to herself as it.
Well,
twice in one sentence.
Well, some people shims, herns.
Oh, you're saying she was not identifying as a specific gender.
Yeah, is.
So instead of a human, she must now be referred to as an object.
Sorry, cis.
An inanimate object.
Right.
Okay, I'm just pointing that out.
I'm just telling you, women, you think you're oppressed or pressed down. Do for yourself, think for yourself, be for yourself.
Be selfish.
Well, I mean,
Yeah, that's what it sounded like you were saying. But
no, but seriously, think about your future, think about your life, think about your career, think about what you want to have done. If you want a husband and children, a family life, you can have all that. Just do it the right way, man.
right, you just have to make those right decisions.
All right, Kerry, something's come up,
Are you
and
mansplaining this?
Yeah, I know. something's come up, and I think I forgot to tell you, but it is lightning round technically.
Oh my gosh, is it? Okay, let me know.
Because I'll tell you what, something's come up for early in the morning. But anyways, what is a number one topic that you wanted to talk about? We talked about this in the car on the way up. What is Smyth Radio's reason for existence?
Well, if you want to get down to the basics, I feel like we've gotten away from it a little bit because we've learned a lot. We've learned so much. It's like we got a PhD in political science practically. And when we first started and we didn't know as much as we do now, it was just kind of like, man, we're getting lied to. Everybody's getting lied to.
we were in the woke stage.
Yeah, and so we were like, there was a lot of factors. Like Rush Limbaugh had just turned 65, and I'm like, my dad just retired, and he's exactly the same age as Rush. What are we going to do without him? We need to maybe take part in trying to, do our part and get the truth out there and try to find the truth and all that. So
we felt there was no new news media. There was none of this.
Right.
Technology in the past 3 or 4 years has only made it available for us, or Candace Owens, Charlie Kirk, Mark Dice, Paul Joseph Watson,
right.
Jack Posobiec, to actually garner a following greater than that of the failed Glenn Beck.
Well, I mean, you make choices, and
yeah, you make choices, and you live by them and you die by them sometimes. So,
so what topic did I say that I really want to talk about?
We want to make it a point to focus on Smyth Radio. What we do is we bring you real news that's being put out there, and we expose to you the fake propagandist news that's being put out there.
Right.
And then we'll obviously give you our opinions on certain topics that are hot button topics. And then at the same time, we try and not to put anybody down, but we try and educate some of the youth that are up and coming.
Yeah.
So that they can have a good grasp on what direction they need to go and the things that they need to say to friends and family. And when somebody comes at you, you might be able to know how to handle that situation a little bit better next time.
Right. And we have to remember that there are new people coming all the time. And even the ones that have been here for a while, they're not 24/7 listening and to everything and picking up on all the news of every minute of every day. And we have to remember ourselves that we shouldn't feel bad about maybe dumbing it down. And I don't mean dumb, not like an insult to who's listening, but to not gloss over the obvious details. Because, we'll hear about a whole story. And I have to remember, I really have to try to repeat this whole story to you guys because you didn't hear it yet, even though we already did.
Right. And if I start talking about Bruce Orr and his wife Nellie Orr, I actually have to reiterate who they are.
Who the heck they are, right.
Why they are, because those are pretty obscure names. Like, what?
When we first started, there were so few people that we knew that were, because there's thousands. You have to literally, and after you do this for 5 years like we've been doing, a lot of these people you hear over and over, and you've seen their faces either in pictures or have seen press conferences. And all of a sudden, after 5 years, you're like, you see a face, or there's one name that gets brought up, and they're related to another name, and you remember that story, and you belt out these names, and you remember it. But when we first started, I was like, oh my gosh, I'm never going to remember all these names. And we thought we need a plaster all over the wall in front of us.
And which is a shame we never did.
Yeah, we didn't do it.
We never did it.
But you know what? In the end, because I thought it was necessary.
It made us better.
In the long run, it wasn't necessary, but it would have helped. It would have been a lot of work. We would have wasted a lot of ink because we would have been printing them all out. Yeah. But we were going to put like a giant collage on the wall with the face and the name and their title and what their position is in what department or whatever.
Because it would be nice to be able to spout off
like the name of a person.
The guy that, Keith Ellison, and then the guy that's really in charge. It's not Keith Ellison is deputy. I don't even know the head of that is.
No, we need to have it on the
DNC.
wall.
I'm just
we
saying.
need to have it on the wall right now.
I keep forgetting because I keep thinking about Keith Ellison because that's the guy that he's got so much dirt on.
Yeah, and I would put the picture up on the wall of him holding up the Antifa.
Yes.
Because that would remind me that he has fully endorsed everything Antifa's doing. So, I would just adding value to what you guys get out of Smyth Radio by making sure that we get the news to you guys and in a way that is going to, you guys will be able to figure out what it means. Because you're going to hear the opposite whenever you listen to. And by the way, you don't have to turn on CNN or MSNBC to hear the opposite. Did you know that when I listen to Rush Limbaugh during the day on a AM radio station that's in Cincinnati, because it's owned by Clear Channel, which is extremely biased left, Clear Channel is, and they own our conservative AM station. When Rush goes to the top and the bottom of the hour break and they go to the news, it has a liberal slant and it's very subtle. It's not like Don Lemon getting on there and telling us that we're all a bunch of racists.
No, but it's repeatedly they go right to break, and the bomber, who also Trump supporter,
and he's referred to as the MAGA bomber or whatever.
Yeah, come on.
Yeah, so it's subtle, but it's always there. It's always left-leaning bias, and it's always reported in a way that would mislead you into thinking that their narrative might be true. That's really what it boils down to. And so we got to fight that all the time. We don't need you to just turn off CNN and MSNBC for you to be free of fake news. You're going to get it everywhere. Your local TV station, they're being fed the talking points that are important for the Democrats to get their propaganda out there.
Right, absolutely. Thomas Perez, first Hispanic Latino head of the DNC, deputy chair. Keith Ellison, Muslim Brotherhood, very hardcore, abusive to women, but that's okay. That's okay. I had to get that one out.
It's not okay. Don't be abusive to women.
It is not okay.
Yeah. Oh my gosh.
All right, folks. Thank you so much. This is the greatest, fastest, normally 3 hours you spend with anybody. This has been an extremely long weekend, and some things have really come up. Mother-in-law going back to California, had a very great visit. Her flight leaves at 5 a.m.
Oh my goodness. Tomorrow morning?
Yes.
Well, we'll have to send her off.
All right, everybody, share this with your friends and your family. Hit the like, hit the share, hit all of it.
Share it, people. Get it on Facebook.
Yeah.
See you later.
With unfathomable power.
What kind of power?
Unfathomable. It's without fathom.